Welcome to the Firehouse, the show dedicated to the brave men and women who serve our community.
Hello and welcome to the Firehouse on WRHU 88.7. I am your host, Chris Moses, and today, sitting with me in the Firehouse is none other. You know what? I'm going to let you introduce yourself. You introduce yourself, Charlie. You do it.
I'm ex-chief Charlie Hendry, Hempstead Fire Department.
Ex-chief Charlie is in the building, people.
Yeah, you got me.
I got him here. What is going on, brother? How you feeling?
Everything's good, man.
Everything's
I'm glad
good?
to be on your show.
I'm glad. Thank you. So, for the people that don't know you, right?
Yeah.
Tell them what department you are, what company, how long you've been in, and what ranks you've held.
Okay.
It's a lot of questions there. It's a lot.
It's all good. I'm an ex-chief, and I'm from the Hempstead Fire Department in Long Island. I've been ex-chief. I was chief 2 times. I'm in the truck company, Harper Hook and Ladder 1 on Clinton Street.
There we go.
I did all everything from secretary to lieutenant, captain. I can't even tell you how many
All of
times
it.
I've been lieutenant and captain.
Rotating through.
And so I've been a member of the Hempstead Fire Department since 1989. I got 35 years on.
1989.
And I also I'm a lieutenant in the FDNY.
There we go.
And I
Okay.
got 25 years on the FDNY. Yeah,
So in total, what are we talking years? In total, what are we talking? Like
35
35
years.
years in total.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my. I know you got some stories and we're going to get into those. But we also got like a little thing that I don't know if everybody knows, but you used to be a junior over
Oh,
in
I was going to
Union.
get into that too. Yeah, exactly.
Yo, go ahead. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, pretty much. My father was a firefighter in Hempstead as well, and an ex-chief. And so me and my brother grew up in the firehouse.
Okay.
So we grew up in the firehouse. I mean, we lived in the firehouse.
That's it. That was it.
And we wanted, we always wanted to get on, and get in the volunteers. And my father, from knowing the guys in Uniondale and all of that from the battalion, we ended up finding out that Uniondale had a junior fire department.
So Pops, everyone's in Hempstead, but then you found out about the Uniondale Juniors.
Right.
So you're like, I want to, let's start getting in over there kind of thing. Yeah.
Because at least you go in the juniors,
And you
you
start
got
learning.
all hands-on, learning everything.
Yep.
I mean, granted, I used to go to the firehouse with my father and, Sunday morning, check the truck, do the drill, and we would be there doing everything the guys were doing. You know, if they were cleaning the tools, we were cleaning the
it
tools.
with them.
They were flying the bucket, we were flying the bucket. So we pretty much got to do everything, unofficially.
Yeah.
And then when I heard about the juniors, I said, this would be great because, now I'll be
Now I
able
can get
to actually
hands-on.
get in on it and do it.
And
you
do
know?
something.
And it worked out because we got in there when we were about maybe 15, 16. So
Okay.
it was like to occupy the 2 years before we could join.
Could actually join. Yeah.
And then getting into that, when it got closer to join, now it's like, I lived in Hempstead, but I'm down by the cemetery, right on like the Hempstead Uniondale line.
Yep,
It's
right
like
there. Yep.
now I gotta decide, do I want to join Uniondale
Uniondale,
or do I want to go to Hempstead?
There you go. But Pops is in Hempstead.
Yeah,
so
that was kind of a
it's
no-brainer.
like a no-brainer
It's
right
like
there.
I gotta go to Hempstead.
So, I mean, with
Yeah.
that said, that I assume is what inspired you to even want to be in the fire department because not everybody follows the footsteps. So what
Right.
made you still want to follow the footsteps of your father to say, you know what, I do want to get into this?
Oh, well, he used to take us to the fires too. And so you
see.
get there.
Things were different back then.
You smell the smoke, you see all the action, and you get that adrenaline rush too,
Sorry about that.
So it's like, it's like being there and, even to the point where for some fires, I'd be standing by the rig and you come over and say, hey, kid, I need a Halligan. Oh, it's in that compartment
it
right
right
there.
there.
I got it for you. Here you go.
I've been here every single day, every Sunday down here with y'all. I know where it is.
Oh, you're out of
Yeah.
air? I'll go get a cylinder for you and change your mask,
So that was the inspiration,
Yeah.
and then from then on, you got hooked.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's how you know who was on. Renan was telling us about
Oh,
that story.
yeah.
He was saying like they had came in from a job, and he's like, "What is that beautiful fragrance that I
Oh,
smell?"
yeah.
And he fell in love from there. So that's your inspiration, was Dad, and just
Oh,
how
yeah.
it started. And I think that's dope. I think that's dope that you went over to Uniondale so you can get in there and kind of get in there hands on.
yeah.
Then it was the choice. After you meet all these guys in Uniondale,
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
all right, well, where do I go? But Dad is here, so we got to go here. So, Charlie, 35 years.
Oh, yeah.
It went fast, didn't it?
It does. It goes too fast. That's what you don't realize. It's like for these guys, everybody wants to do everything right away.
Yep.
It's like slow down and enjoy it because you blink your eyes and
it's
man,
gone.
It's gone.
And
you
it's
know?
gone. So 35 years, Charlie, I know you got some stories for me. I know you got some stories.
Oh, it was crazy. We had fun. And you know, in Hempstead.
And, you know,
actually,
just before, not to cut you
Yeah.
off, I just want to say this, just for everybody, just to know, if you're in the 7th Battalion, you know the name Charlie. And I just wanted to say that because that's why it was so important to get him on this show. Because a lot of the guys that watch are from the 7th Battalion.
Oh,
and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I got to get Charlie on this show. There's no way that you're in the 7th Battalion and don't know Chief Charlie. There's no way. There's no way. But go ahead and tell me. I need a good story. Give me at least two stories.
Just going up when we were in the department a couple of years, and Dad got in. Like I got in 89. You got me, my brother, and my father all in the fire department. Dad just got in the chief's office. So, you know, during the daytime, we're either hanging out at the firehouse and responding, or, you know, in Hempstead, we can respond in our car.
Mm-hmm.
But at night, you know, we're home, we're responding with Dad in the chief's car.
Okay.
And so what we would do is like, and he was at 21, you can drive the truck.
Yeah.
So I can drive the truck. So it's like, you know, we get a fire and we're driving past the firehouse on the way. We got a garage door opener in the chief's car. He hits the button. They drop me off in the middle of Clinton Street. I grab the rig and go. And you know, the funny thing is too, we had a couple of the members that live close to the firehouse. So like, you know, Kyle Balls from a truck.
Of course. Yeah.
So like, depending on which way I was going, I had to look for Kyle because he'd be coming to the firehouse. I'd pick him up along the way.
And grab him.
And we'd have a crew. And with having the driver only, we used to all have our gear on the rig or in our car. Most of us had to set in the car and on the rig. So if you could run in the firehouse, jump in the rig and go. Okay. And, you know, it was
so you had gear, and that's something Uniondale doesn't have.
Yeah.
So, and for people that may not know, so you had gear in your car. Yeah. And you have gear at the firehouse.
Actually on the truck.
On the actual truck.
Because that was back in the day when we still had like the pull-up boots.
And everything like that.
The helmet, so it could fit in a little cubby, you know. So it was like, you know, we had like 12 sets of gear on all the rigs, which was nice because during the daytime we get the village workers that would show up in like, you know, the street sweeper or the pickup truck, and they could run over to a rig and
they don't have to get great. Yeah, they have the gear right there ready for them.
Like if you look at the old pictures too, you'd see the engines with like all the coats and the boots on the side of the rig. Same thing, you know. So you could. Where now, if you don't have your bunker gear, you're pretty much out.
You're out,
exterior guy feeding hose in the door. You know?
That's it.
Yeah.
You're out. So go ahead, keep going.
So we had one fire one time.
There we go. This is what we want to hear. This is what the listeners want.
So what we would do is at night we had there was only like 3 of us in Hempstead that had bunker gear back then. It was like George Sanders, and he was in the parks, you know, and he was in India for me and my brother because it was like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know. I wear the bunker gear, and at night it was perfect because you know we jump in the bunker pants and jump in the Chief's car, and my dad had the old big Crown Victoria with the big trunk, so you had the spare, and we had a coat and a helmet stuffed on each side.
Right on each side.
And if we went to the scene, me and my brother would be fighting who's going to get the Scott pack, and whoever didn't get the Scott pack had to go to the rig and grab one, you know. And so, but where my brother,
I can imagine what that argument's like. No, you got it last time. I won it this time. You got it last time.
You know what it is? With brothers and all, we start fighting, and everybody backs up. They're like, you know. we don't want to get in the middle of
Don't
this.
wanna get in
Because
the middle
next
of
thing
this.
you know, they're going to turn on us, But anyway, one time we're going and it's a fire on Main Street. It was like the between Fulton and like Center Street. There was a Chinese restaurant.
Okay.
And whatever happened, there was a fire. I'm assuming somebody torched the stairs. So they're reporting
okay.
people trapped.
Okay.
We come down, Greenwich, the Henry, the Clinton, drop me off at the firehouse. I run in, we had the old Baldwin ladder truck because we were using that because our snorkel died. And so we had that. And it was like they took off. I jump in the rig and go. And my brother gets there. There's a little alleyway where the bars are along Fulton, but they have it fenced off now. But it used to be an alleyway in the back. So there's a truck there. So my brother's jumping on the hood of the trunk, the roof, and he gets up on the roof to calm the people down. Don't jump. We're coming.
Don't do this.
And I just shoot into the alleyway, drop the at short set, drop the outriggers on one side, throw the ladder up, and we bring 10 people down the ladder.
Look at that. I know.
Yeah. So it was, we would have stuff like that all the time. It's like,
how is it? And I've asked this question before on other shows, but how is it responding with family, with your brother, with your father? How is that feeling when you get there and it's you look to the left and your brother's there, or you look to the right? You're how does that feel?
Oh, it's great.
I can't imagine. It must be amazing.
I think the best time that I had too was we had a fire on Terrace, apartment fire.
Okay.
And I'm up there with my son.
Wow,
and I was showing him how to force the doors, So it was I showed him, how to take the door with just a Halligan tool, So he gives it a couple of shots and boom, blows the door open. We go in, do the search and all. And it was there was nobody in there, but, it was just cool that it was
this is my kid that was there. And I'm pretty sure that's how your father felt, right?
Oh,
and it's that's it. It's this is my kid that I'm bringing with me to do this.
Yeah.
To do something I love to do. I know that feeling must be crazy.
You'll have it soon when your kid
Hopefully.
gets old
I'm
enough,
trying to get him in the juniors. He's fighting me. These kids are different nowadays, man.
They are.
They're different. But he's supposed to get in there, so hopefully he'll be in there. He was in the juniors for 1 year, then he stopped, then he's getting back into it. So hopefully 1 year,
Yeah. We'll got to get hooked. You got to see what
That's it. Once you get hooked, they're in there. And that's what they don't realize. Once you join, and this is for all of our listeners as well. Once you join the volunteer services, it becomes a part of your life. It literally becomes a part of your life. You gain lifelong friends, and that's it. No matter what, what's going on with the Firehouse? This is going on. Every holiday, you're I'll be at the Firehouse, and I'll be doing this, and I'll be doing that, right? So it always, becomes a part of your life. But anyway, let's keep going here. Let's keep going. So, you're giving me some great stories, but I need you to walk me through. Well, first, let's go through some of the things that you've done, because we got a list of stuff here. Besides FDNY, one thing that I do want to talk about is that you are an instructor at FSA.
Oh, yeah.
And for people that don't know, the Fire Service Academy is where everyone trains in Nassau County, and is one of the biggest, the best. Literally, I'm pretty sure awards everyone knows about FSA in Nassau County. So as an instructor, I know you got some stories. I know he's already smiling. I know you got some stories, because you're seeing us in the worst, the best.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing us being lazy. You're seeing us.
Well, I joke around and I say we would be good insurance guys for you if you want to buy a house, because it's hey, where do you want to buy a house? Oh, over here. I don't know. If you do that, you might want to sleep with a water can,
I can imagine.
But you know what it is, to be honest with you, though, you just got to realize too, you got to take it into perspective, because a lot of the older guys, or I shouldn't say the older guys, you know how it is. Every fire department has the A team that's going to be at all the fires. And if they're there, everything's going to go smooth. Yeah. Perfect example. I'm going to go back to show you how I follow your thing. Your Dale Place fire, your first fire that you had.
Yes.
Where the guys went through the floor.
Yes,
and it was
yes. That was my first. Yeah.
You knew Cam was there. You knew Ray was there. you know those
Yep.
those guys are gonna get you out if you
Yep.
need it. And I don't know if you knew it or not. I was chief. We were coming on mutual aid,
And look
I
at
heard it. I was coming
You
down
heard-
the
probably
street
heard the
when they
Maydays. The
gave the
Maydays start
Mayday, and
flying.
I'm like, oh man. So I'm like telling our guys, hey, they got Maydays. Guys went through the floor, and the nice thing about it was by the time I parked, put my gear on, and got to the area, you guys had already pretty much taken care
Yep,
of it.
everyone's out.
So
Everyone
it's like,
was good.
yeah, and so that's good, and it was a win because nobody really got hurt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nothing major anyway. And we just reset. Let's put out the fire.
And let's do what we gotta do.
And so it's like, so getting back to the FSA, my thing is, not sometimes you'll have. It's not always going to be the A team from that department. So I don't want to judge XYZ department and say, those guys aren't good because, it's like that's all the young kids out there that maybe it's their first time doing it.
Yep.
And so if anything, the way I look at it is I say, I'm customer service. You're coming out there. If you come out there, I have a side job. Plus, the other thing is I want to if you're out there to learn, we want to teach you and give you some tips to make you better.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'll even go back to I do the training in Hempstead.
Mhm.
And my whole thing is, when I go to work for a 24, I'm not there.
Yeah.
If my house catches on fire, I need to depend on you to save my family.
That's right. So you got to train them right.
So if you don't know what I know,
Then
it's on me because
Yeah.
I should have trained you better.
So true.
And
true.
when I first got in the department, guys didn't want to show everybody because they wanted to stand out by themselves and I don't want to show you because you might outshine me. But it's like
it's not that.
no, it's not that. It's like we're all because you know what? If those guys mess up and they have the HFD on their back, it's not going to be those guys that messed up. It's all of us that messed up.
Everyone.
And so we all have to be on the same page.
So true.
So you have to know what you can and can't do. You have to know your capabilities, I would say.
That's
I know we're going to get to it in a little bit. Know, part of the team building, know what all of your guys' strong parts and weak parts are.
What they can't do.
That's
right.
Especially
that makes a good boss.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good boss.
Being in the truck company is a perfect example because I have guys that when we were recruiting them to join, they're like, well, we don't really like heights that much. And it's like, well, there's more stuff than just climbing up a ladder,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, you got to climb up the ladder and teeter-totter on the top rung. Just be able to go up the ladder and go in the window and you'll be fine. I said, listen, as long as you get on the ladder and go up, there's going to be smoke and fire and that's going to kick in and you're going to be more involved with what's going on there than the actual ladder.
Yeah.
And you're going to be fine.
You'll be fine.
You know what I mean? And the other thing, too, going back to the fire academy, I try to be the instructor. I know, you know what it is? We have instructors who we see, and it's officers too, whatever. You think of who are the guys that I like and who do I want to be like and who do I not want to be like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my thing is, if you come to do the class, especially when I do firefighter 1 or primary, which is the hands-on firefighting, because you have the essentials, which is the book.
Yep.
If you're doing the hands-on, if you're a little shaky with your heights, it's all well and good. I asked the guys ahead of time, is anybody a little this way with, your so-so with being on the ladder? And if they say, yeah, I keep an eye on them.
That's
and if
it.
they freak out or freeze up halfway up the ladder, I'm going up the ladder behind them and I'm going to coax them. Come on, you can do this. You got it. You got it.
And that's what's needed.
And that's because, nobody, granted, when we were kids, we used to build the tree houses and stuff. So we climb up trees, climb ladders,
climbing fences, jumping off.
We used to have how they do the racing. We used to have an old wooden ladder and we used to throw that on the wagon and throw it up to the shed and climb up,
Like you had a muster.
Yeah. So it's we know how to do all of that before we got it. When we were little kids, we went to the point where they're like, what are you doing back there? Stop that, But it's other people, this might be the first time they're on a ladder, so let's get them comfortable with it so they can do it. You don't have to love doing it, but in order to pass the class, you got to be able to get up there, go in the window, and come out. Because, God forbid, if you are trapped in the window and we throw a ladder up to you, you got to be able to come down.
You got to be able to come down. You're right. You're right.
And you got to do the job. So it's like,
So I need you to tell me about. We're gonna stick with FSA right now.
Yeah,
I just want to know, like, how did you start there? Like, what made you say I wanna be an instructor there? Did they reach out? Did you, because I'm pretty sure you've trained there. Now all of a sudden you're the trainer there. So how did that start? How did that all start?
Well, back when we first joined Hempstead, we used to have a Hempstead Fire School. And we would just take our Hempstead Fire School, and we were good. And that was, I'll also give a plug, like Brian Fahey and Jimmy Sanders were our two instructors. And George Sanders got involved in it too later on. And Brian Fahey, rest in peace. He got killed at the Father's Day fire recently. So, but he was like one of our my mentors would get me to think about doing the city fire department. I saw him and Jimmy and hear all the stories. And I'm like, I'd like to do that. I like doing this for free. I would love to do that for my job,
Yeah.
And so me and my brother were into it. And we were like, yeah, this is good, but they have a class at the Fire Academy that has the hands-on, the primary. Let's go and take that. We were taking all the classes. So we went out there, and I'll throw another Uniondale alumni at you, too.
Throw.
Who do we have? Chief Haid is our
There you go.
And so I see Chief Haid, and I'm like, I want to be like this guy. And I knew who he was, and so it was like,
we got to get him on the show too. We got to get him on the show too.
You would,
he will. He definitely will.
And so I'm like, I want to be like this guy, and just from like some guys, for us, we would go every year when it was department ops. With the department ops, for the people who don't know,
yep,
it's 4 nights. And it would be, you do like one night's a house fire, one night's an apartment fire, one night's a commercial building fire, and then the other one is a garden apartment, which they'll do that fire too. So you do that. Back in the day, when they didn't have the garden apartment yet, it used to be a car fire.
Oh, wow. See, that was before me.
They had a car fire, or they would have the pits, and you would have to light the oil fires, and you'd have to put it out with
I remember that during primaries. They would do the pits during that,
So you had that, too. And so it was like, we used to do the department ops every year. And it was like, this is fun. I would love to be like, you see the instructors like covered in black, and it's like, oh, this is great. They come out here 2 to 3 fires every night. They're doing that. They're teaching the guys everything. This looks like it'll be fun, And so it was like, hey, yeah, I want to do that. And in order to, then what we found out from, moving along, there's a test to be a Fire Academy instructor.
Okay, all right. So for people that don't know, even for people that are in and have been in for a while and are looking to get to the FSA, there is a test. So go ahead, keep going.
It comes out every, I would say probably every 6 or 7 years. It's a little while.
Okay.
Maybe even.
Now this test is only for Nassau County, because isn't there Suffolk County?
Suffolk has their own.
They have their
Academy in Yaphank, and then Nassau has the Nassau County Fire Academy. Now, I'm not 100% sure if you could be like a Suffolk guy and take the test, but I know in order to take the test, you have to be a Nassau firefighter.
Okay.
So you have to be in one of the Nassau volunteer fire departments. You have to have a minimum of 5 years. If you're an officer or ex-chief, you get points for that.
Okay.
And it's a whole big test it's a test. Pretty much the test is on the essentials of firefighting.
Okay.
And it's
now, is it written, or is there any physical part to it,
no,
or is
just
all written? Okay.
What they do is it's a couple different parts. Like, it's a written test, which is on the essentials of firefighting book, and the officer's training book because you have to be fire instructor. It's a fire instructor. So it's the fire instructor one and essentials. So the test is on that. And then they have some other questions too, like they'll ask you like some county signals. They might ask you how many departments are in the county, just to see how
To make
much
sure
you're
you know.
in the
Yeah, yeah.
department, and because that's pretty much what you're teaching. I mean, not that you're teaching, but just so they know that you're like a firefighter in the county that's active and knows what's going on. And so you take the written test, and then what happens is you go for an actual like job interview with your resume, and you sit down before a board. They go over that. And then if you pass that board, then you have to teach a class to another board. So they test. So what happens is when you finish, you have your written score, your interview, and then you have your classroom. And so they put all of those scores together, and that's where they come up with who they get.
How many people? And this is, you said every year they do this, or?
I'd say it's like every 10 years.
Every 10 years. Yeah. So every 10 years. And then what are they taking? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably tons of people that are apply.
To be honest with you, the last test, there wasn't that many.
There wasn't?
What had happened was the test was like on the same date as like the Suffolk County police test or something.
Oh, so people.
So when I took it, it was probably 200 or 300 people, and
but now
they only hire like 30, throughout the year, and I don't even know how many they would be hiring now, but it's if you want to do it, it's worth a try, getting a shot at it and see. But it's just another avenue that
just
you
another
have,
way. Let's talk a little bit about. I'm reading the bio here, and Hempstead Fire Dispatcher.
Oh yeah.
Tell me a little bit. Like, listen, he's done everything. Anything that's in fire, he's done it. So talk a little bit about that dispatcher. Like, what made you go into that? And one question, and I actually answer this first.
Yeah.
Being a dispatcher, I know it must make you cringe to hear people on the radio that don't know how to talk.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're like
you just want to be able to like hit a button and like cancel.
Stop. Don't say that.
Blow up
so
the radio.
How did that start, being a fire dispatcher? What, talk to me about that. What made you want to get into that?
All right. You ready for this one?
I'm ready for it. I am ready for it. Listen, just so the listeners know, this is going to be a part 2. I'm just letting y'all know, because this is only going to be part 1. We're about 2 minutes, but we're going into an whole hour. So you're going to have part 2. But go ahead. I'm not stopping you. Let's go.
So Dad was the assistant superintendent of alarms in Hempstead.
Okay.
And what that was is they're in charge of, we used to have fireboxes, but they took them out. The street lights in the village of Hempstead, and the electrical in all the village buildings and the firehouses, and the fire dispatchers. So they needed a relief fire dispatcher because a couple guys ended up going to, I think it was a couple guys. That was a good, like, that job. Some guys would take it and then go to like the city fire department or the Garden City. It was a good like stepping stone
to move
for
on.
some guys.
Okay.
Some people did make it their career. And so anyway, I was like, that would be a good job. I'll put in for it. And I knew like electrical from my dad because he did electrical on the side. And so when he would go to do a job, he'd say, hey, you want to come be my helper? And I'd go with him. And it was great because you learn how to change the outlets, put the lights in and everything. And, you want to learn a trade because you learn a trade, it's going to help you.
It's going to
help
you through life. That's right.
And so he ended up doing that. So it was like when I heard they needed a relief fire dispatcher, and it was a firehouseman, but it was for like the guy to do the relief dispatching, and then he'd work out in the field with the guys doing the street lighting and the electric like and all of that.
All right.
And we dig ditches.
So you're doing both.
For the yeah. So it was like I heard that. I was like, it was 91, so I was 20. I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'll take it. I'll apply for it and see what happens. And they ended up hiring me. And so I was doing that. And then a couple of the dispatchers left to go to other jobs. They needed a dispatcher. So then I slid into the dispatcher spot. But that was back in like the 90s. And we were like through the roof with fires in Hempstead back there.
Hey, Firehouse family. This is your host, Chris Moses. We had such a good time with Charlie that we decided to make this into a 2-part interview. So please tune in next week for the second half of ex-Chief Charles Hendry from the Hempstead Fire Department's interview on the Firehouse.